Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life. And Professor Sunreis Productions!
Hello class, Professor Sunreis here. Like I said, I am knee deep in preparation for YCS Bologna. I got like 99% of the theory part down, and now we are up into the all playtesting, getting used to the meta, learning all of the niche interactions here and there. And for that, I got a very good replay against Rescue Ace, one of the harder matchups. I also got the video on how to beat Rescue Ace with Dragonlink up and running. I just gotta go into the fine-tuning and do most of the cutting, but this will definitely come. Hopefully for YCS Bologna. I look at the, it probably should be coming out before YCS Bologna. So, without further ado, don't forget to seal pass on the subscribe button, leave some feedback down below, and let's get right into the video. Here we are in the replay. We are up against Mahatum. Ooh, Atum, you gotta love to see him. 41 cards, 705 rating, so definitely nothing to scoff at. Opening hand is Nibiru, Black Metal, Imseti, Saronia, and Samsara. This is an insane hand. We have a hand trap. We have a lot of our starters. We have the Imseti plus Samsara, so even if the Imseti would get ashed, oh, there's an ash actually. Saronia being able to center the Lubellion gives us immediate, or like at this point, any Bystial basically, but Lubellion of course is the best, gives us like all 5 usable cards. Even if the Imseti gets ash, we still get value of that. That's really good. The opponent is on the Diabellstarr, Turbulence, Ash, Hydrant, and Airlifter. So an all gas hand plus 1 Ash. That is usually pretty good. They do decide to normal summon Airlifter here. Of course, that's the best normal summon. They search an emergency. Let's pause here real quick, because they could have also searched HQ and searched the like normal summon the second Hydrant, but because they have the Diabellstarr, they might as well use the Diabellstarr to pitch the Hydrant and then go for the Hydrant onto the board that way. That could save the emergency, but they don't do that, and I think this will bite their butt later on, because they could just do very basic full combos here, but they elect not to. They go for the Hydrant on board of the emergency, then search the Preventer, summon Diabellstarr effect, get the Snake Eyes, Snake Eye, and now they probably use the Preventer and go for Reproducus line and go for the Preventer summon of the Vanish Pile, getting the Airlifter back. They got everything out. At this point, I knew that they have Turbulence in hand, because otherwise they would have gone for that. I feel like this is a line which has a higher ceiling but loses way harder to a Nibiru. Otherwise, they could have gone for a very early IP Masquerena, not IP, SP. Some of the Turbulence underneath. We had to nip on that. That would have been the 5th summon. Then they would have been able to go for what's it called? The emergency, because they actually didn't need to use that emergency. Summon Preventer, send Preventer, effect Preventer, get the Turbulence out, and then get all of the 4 sets. It feels like a better play than doing it like this. But maybe that's also just because they have a very bad matchup against exactly 1 Nib plus 1 Serenity here, which is a little lackluster for them. But here they go for the Protect Code Talker, effect of the Link Decoder, I think is the name. Yes, Link Decoder. Then they link off these to go into a Firewall. Now they trigger that. Here we do decide to use the Serenia. I didn't want them to send the small one or like anything nasty into the graveyard. I think it's mostly just the spell negate and then the on-demand negate later on, but I didn't know what they else could do, and because I figured the last card in hand is Turbulence and then it's just one unknown, I think we are very safe here to just use the Bystial. It's probably just better to let them commit here and then nip them after they've got the Link 5 or 6 or whatever it is out, plus the Turbulence, because then you got rid of everything, plus you saved your Serenia even. But because we have everything and we know what we only have to play through 1 card basically, I think that is a very good deal. Here we use the Nib. They can do nothing about that. They cannot even trigger that. I guess it's a correct play to use it early here, because Firewall would have gotten them follow-up. So I guess that's also a correct, but I guess that depends on the amount of cards you have in hand. But because we have the Samsara here, we can always get back the Serenia. We trigger Serenia. And they think about ashing that. So for me, it was obvious that there will be an ash in the opponent's hand. And because of that, I knew 100% I will win this. The set is known, the ash is known, and it's super easy here. Here, that's a little awkward because, yeah, okay, Baxionif is the perfect mill here, but, like, pitch for Imseti. But now we don't have the Samsara in there, but because everything is known, we can get the Samsara there via the Dragon Ravine package. So we just normal summon, go for Strike, and at this point it is very, very easy cleanup duty here. There are nothing. So even if we cannot OTK here, we will be able to do it kind of easily. So we get the whole play, get the Ceremony out with the Red MD, summon Lubellion over the Red MD so that we can use these for a relevant XV's plays. And then go for the Romulus, effect Romulus, get the Ravine, effect Ravine, pitch Samsara, search, send Sacred probably? Yeah, send Sacred. Now we can even use both. We could get the Ceremony out, we can get the Lubellion. So we have everything which we want to. We can also still trigger the regain. And we just have everything. So we search Jerusalem to get rid of the token. Summon it, banishing the black metal. And then trigger regain on black metal. It doesn't really matter what we hit here. Probably should have sent the red MD at this point. Get talents. They use talents. Dark for the Diabellstarr summon. Send the token. I mean, we could also talents take the token, but I think my thought process was that we didn't show the talents yet. It doesn't really matter because we side up the talents into this matchup anyways, but just for you to know, small things like these can definitely matter, so we just want to play around that. So I think that's a very cool showcase for like a small micro interaction like this, not showing the talents even though we can very freely do so. And then we win. It's not that big, but for example, a Nibiru can be a card which can work like this kinda, where you are in a matchup where Nibiru can be hit or miss, and then you maybe main deck it, and you used it in game 1. It's very good to just side deck it out then, because the likelihood of the opponent playing around set nip in the second game or the third game is way higher. So you might want to go for it differently and side out the nip. So for example, in this scenario, because of side decking patterns, I probably would have kept in the Nibiru, also because my opponent played the lines out weirdly. I figured I still would get off value of the Nibiru, but if you had side deck patterns which accommodate siding out the Nibiru, if the opponent plays around it super hard, definitely always go for these, because they can feel very, very, very clean. Because of course, while playing around Nibiru, the opponent probably is on a lower value and lower ceiling overall. So if they play around the Nibiru and you don't even draw the Nibiru and you draw other stuff, you can really, really punish them hard. Let's speak about our opening hands here. Here have a Droll, Prosperity, Diabellstarr, Airlifter, and another Droll. Very decent hand. We have basically the best 2-card combo. We have a Prosperity to dig for something, and then we have a Droll to finish things off. And we have Serenier, Valor, Sacred, Serenier, Vivo Burster, also a very, very good hand. Here, normal summon Airlifter. I always Valor this, because if they have the emergency, we'll never get value of this Valor ever again. Maybe we stop their 1-card combo, or we force them into weird extenders, like the Diabellstarr here. Summon Diabellstarr, sending the Airlifter, definitely interesting. I don't know if I would have done that, especially with 2 Drolls in hand. That seems like a weird play, especially because you have to get rid of the Diabellstarr as well. So might as well just put the Droll away. But who am I to judge? So they go for the Hydrant here. Get the Turbulence. Prosperity to dig. Now they got all of their searches out of the deck, so they have the lowest count deck they have available to them. So they, of course, now use the Prosperity. What you're looking for here is like basic extenders, like Preventer, Emergency, and then maybe like a Hand Trap. They had a Nip, and they hit the HQ and the Rescue. Rescue is the Revive one. They decide to get the Emergency, which is fine, I believe. They haven't have anything banished yet, but the Turbulence, of course, does that. So the Emergency then can get 1 free body, basically, because getting Preventer, sending Preventer always is pretty free. So they use the Turbulence here. If we do the counting here, they had Airlifter, Diabellstarr, 3, 4. This would have been the 5th summon. They could have no, they couldn't have played around that. They could have if they went for the Rescue, but then they didn't have the Emergency to play around it anyways. So Nibiru would have come very, very good here. But Nibiru plus Valor usually comes around pretty good against this matchup anyways. So they go for the Turbulence. Sadly, it resolves, but sometimes, most of the time actually, it will probably come down to that. But this is luckily not a complete auto-win. It is close to that, but it's definitely still winnable. So they set both traps, alerts, so that's the add from grave, and then a rescue, because they didn't add it off the Prosperity, of course. They don't have the Hydrant on the board yet, but they are planning on doing so. They go for the SP Little Light on the Valor. For whatever reason, I changed my Bystial here. That is very, very dumb. Not because of talents, because we of course already activated the Veiler, but now I give my opponent the chance to interact with said Zerony. I should have just waited for the end phase. It doesn't really matter. I don't think they have any interaction, but just in case, just wait for the end phase. I mean, them booking it doesn't really do anything. But if they have any sort of way to deal with it, you probably shouldn't do it anyways, because them having 2 darks in there, it's super fine to take 1 dark, and we still have it a dark line for our Darkling too, of course. So this was my first thought process was, oh, I don't want to miss my 1 light engrave because I have another Bystial. I want to be able to have enough fodder for my Bystials, while also having fodder for the dark, but I didn't need to do that. They go for the emergency, on the other hand, getting the Preventer, sending the Preventer. Like I said, this summons out the Hydrant, which is in the banished pile, turning on all of these Bell Traps extra effects, but more importantly, being able to activate one now. They activate the Alert, showing me the Extinguish there. It doesn't really matter because we have nothing to interact with it anyways. Alert will be adding from the deck an Impulse, and then they pass turn on a lot of disruption. Both traps, Drone Lockbird and SP. That's a lot. King Sarcophagus is a decent draw. It does play under Droll kind of efficiently, so that's pretty good. We normal summon Safety, and with SP and a bot like this, there's no way you will ever go for an OTK. So just normal summoning something and having a Bystial on the board is really, really good to crash into SP. This gives us 2 pushes to do so effectively. So we call end of main phase, and they decide to use the rescue on the Preventer to summon it, and having a book to protect the SP Little Knight. And then they decide to book the Saronia, go for Safred over the SP Little Knight, and then they decide to pop the Safred. We cannot trigger its graveyard effect anymore, so that's pretty good for them. That's very annoying, especially with the Saronia. I feel like that's a very good play to do. Because now we cannot use Safred to add back a Rebellion, getting rid of 1 line of extension, though of course it doesn't really matter with them having a draw here, but I still think it's the correct play. The only thing it loses to is another Bystial, because they cannot use the SP Lin line here to banish the Saronia. That is very good for us. They could banish something from themselves, but that doesn't really do a lot. They could banish the Hydrant, but then this is not alive to do the extra effect. If they banish both of them, we run over the Hydrant. So they just have to let the SP die here, which is very welcome because the game state is already super simplified here. So the likelihood that the SP is gonna get a huge value is definitely there. So we got rid of that. So that's very, very good. Now we only have to play around the Impulse and the Droll and the 1 set anymore. That's a lot. That's 3 interactions and we have 3 cards in hand. Luckily, the Droll doesn't really do a lot in a game set like that. We have to do some thinking here. I think the next action here, because we can still flip this up, we can still go for an Atomb line. It feels very, very bad to do that into the Contain, but it's realistically the only way we can force it out. It's that or a Dark, and I decided to go for the Atomb because I wouldn't be able to do the Atomb afterwards anyways. So they go for the Chain Impulse and then chain the, whatever it's called, the Contain to negate, and we cannot use it anymore. But that is not okay, but there's nothing else we can really do. The thing is, if we went for a Dark there, we wouldn't have been able to use it for a Link Summon anyways, so it doesn't really do a lot. They go for the Fire Engine of the Impulse so that they can summon 1 body more. We trigger Saronia here on rest for the Rebellion. Now we use Wyver Burster, banish the Saronia. They use the Fire Engine to get the Airlifter effect, Surge HQ probably for follow-up. Yes, HQ for follow-up. And at this point, there's just way too much in the opponent's graveyard, like board basically, to deal with. We go for the Wyver Burster here, search Chillhop Serpent. Then we get rolled on. That's just too much here. And also the good decision that we made Atomb here is because of the roll. It's good that we went for the Atomb first, because we actually couldn't have extended a lot of the Atomb anyways, even if it resolved. Yeah, getting Red MD there would have been decent, but also not really that big of a deal. It's just 1 extra body basically. We have to do some thinking here, and we do go for the King Sarcophagus, sending the Quebec-Sunaf, summoning the Quebec-Sunaf, going into an SP, banish the Preventer so that they have a lack of bodies, and that's basically it, and we cannot really contest into that board set anymore with just 1 SP. Next game we have Ash, Magnamut, Regain, Ash, Nibiru, so that's a hard break, but with a very strong resource loop here already, and Ash Nib, which usually will give you a turn, Seems like a very decent hand. They are on Preventer, Airlifter, Emergency, Ash, and Nibiru as well. We activate Regain and pass turn. Rescue does have not the greatest time of dealing with back row. They usually have to go for an SP to deal with back row, so I figured it is a very safe bet to activate this Regain here. If they go for an SP on it, it's fine. It's just how it is. So they go for the Airlifter, chain the Fire Engine to chain block it. We don't care about that. They added the Rescue, showing that they have the Emergency already and using the Emergency to summon a Hydrant here. You could argue to Ash the Emergency, but at that point, just ashing the Hydrant and hoping that they don't have Turbulence Hard Draw is the best thing, because everything else we can punish with an Nibiru. They are already on 3 summons. If they have Turbulence here, they would just summon it with the 4th summon, and then we kind of die. Luckily, they don't have that, so we have to keep them off Turbulence Hard Draw. They have added the Rescue. If they would have added the Alert, wouldn't have been able to play around that, because Alert can also search Hydrant, Turbulence, right? So maybe that's a misplay. Let me quickly check the Alert. Rescue Ace Alert. That's not how. Add one from you can add one Rescue Ace monster from the deck to the hand instead. So yeah, definitely they should have gone for that in this scenario. But that's still the correct Ash in my opinion, because you cannot really Ash anything else. But yeah, they should have gone for the Alert instead of the Rescue here, because then they would have still had Turbulence access, and we probably should have lost this game because of that. But here they just go for Battle Phase, dealing a decent amount of damage, and then going for a Link 1, which is a Dark, which is very welcome, because now we can use the Nibiru to protect our Regain. If they have Turbulence Hard Draw at this point, or they have access to it, so be it. With a hand like this, we cannot play around everything. They go for the Airlifter, summon off the Preventer. We give them a token in attack so that we can still run over it, because it's not that big to search a potential levy. They go for the Airlifter summon, which is the only banish. They set the Rescue probably, so that they can still get out the Preventer for a disruption. And end phase, they give it over to us. We use Magnamut, the best card to have in this game state. Banish the Anima, chanting 1 Magnamut, chanting 2 Regain. And this is how huge even 1 Dark can be in an opponent's graveyard. It can turn on our whole engine and give us a way to play the game. We draw Serenia. We add a Safed in the end phase because we have the Serenia drawn. Together, these just combo off the best as a 2-card combo. We draw Chaos Base. That's insane. We normal summon Safred. They Ash that. They could have also set, booked it. Or, yeah, it's on effect monsters. So not only on special or normal. They could have booked this. That's probably a better play, because then they could have saved the Ash here. And we actually wouldn't have had all too much apart from a Dark Crash line into a levy. That probably should have gotten us everything we wanted anyways. But that's just my take on that. You can definitely tell that there are a lot of misplays on the Rescue Ace to player's part here. But that's also a good showcase, right? Because if I showcase you opponent's misplays, you know how... Actually, it isn't that great. Anyways, we just know if the opponent played this out properly, we probably should have lost, but we also hard-bricked in game 3, right? So if we had a decent opener, we definitely could have made things work. But even if we have a bad opener, of course, we play around our win con, in which case that was them not having Turbulence Hard Draw, and we just play around that accordingly. Wyver Burster into Striker Dragon here, search the Chillhop Serpent, banish Wyver Bursters, use the Chaos Base, and this point onward, it's just cleanup duty. They do have a nip in hand, but honestly, they don't have any resources for them, so there's not a lot that they can realistically do here. Romulus 1, search Ravine, search the Wyver Burster, which you already used. We still have the Regain draw. We still have a Bystial. We used the Lubellion, so this is a dead card. We still have an Ash even, so even if they have any sort of relevant follow-up, it doesn't really matter. We go for the Drewsworm here on the Chillhop Serpent, trigger the Regained with the Chillhop Serpent, put it back, draw a King Sarcophagus. Again, no Mcetti, but it is fine. That is good enough for us. We use Unicorn here on the set. Seems really bad because we know it's a rescue. I don't know why I exactly did that, but we chain the Drewsworm to target the token. They go for the Fire Engine because they want to have maximum engine, but the problem with that is we can just go into an access code and they cannot use the fire engine, and then we can just pop it and go for a game push. At this point they have to use their nib, and we still have Dragon Ravine plus King Sarcophagus plus Ash plus a regain summon off the nib, and that is pretty much unwinnable from that point, especially with Ash. Like any play they would have doesn't really do anything. We even get to trigger the Magnamite, which we couldn't before, of the regen, so we get even more resources here. We use King Sarcophagus twice. We don't really have anything to send with Dragon Ravine, so at this point we can just summon both out. I do summon them directly out of the deck here, which of course doesn't work, but we fix it. Go through battle phase, come back to Nev into the nib, use King Sarcophagus effect to destroy it, or like send it, I believe. Yeah, send it. Attack for 5/5, and at this point we make an SP. We make an IP together with an Hope Harbinger and a Jerusalem add back together with an Ash, and this is basically everything which you can ask for. They are on one card, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of interaction plus 2 lines of follow-up. There's nothing to be done. We don't even have to discard for the Hope Harbinger, because this is how the card works. Especially with the last card, the Hope Harbinger, you can maybe tell that I've definitely changed up my card deck choice or like deck build a little bit. I will keep it a little secret there. If you catch me on stream, you can maybe see it, but for YouTube, I won't be showing it until after YCS Bologna, so definitely stay tuned for that. And with that, that's basically it for this class. I hope you guys could learn something from the Rescuers Dragon Link matchup. Like I said, the video onto that matchup will also be coming down later this week or next week at latest. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Class is dismissed. You guys are free to leave. Professor Sunreis out. Peace.